Thank you.
Take us back 3 decades when Habitat started. How did it all get underway?
Well, sadly, the housing crisis has been in existence for longer than us, and that's really how it got started. And if we were to harken back to the beginning of Habitat Roots, it's similar everywhere affiliate grows. They see the need in the community, they gather the community, and they build together. And so that this all started in Leamington by a small group of dedicated individuals, and they just basically shouldered into it and did what they needed to do to open our affiliate. And to this day, 30 years later, we still have volunteers and founders who are an integral part of what we do, down to our Cash volunteer on Thursday afternoon. She's been around for 34 years, and we've only been around for 30 years. So, yeah, that's how it got going, and it continues to work on that community idea of coming together to resolve the issues that we have.
What have been some of the most memorable builds over the years?
Okay, well, definitely some predate myself. So you have to talk to Jimmy Carter. He did not found Habitat. He is, though, our most famous volunteer. So any of the Jimmy or June Carter build projects, Windsor's been very fortunate to have had two. And so those are extremely memorable. And again, we still have volunteers who participated in those and often reflect on that, how it was an incredible experience to work with a former president. In the time that I've been at Habitat, some of the really cool projects that we have done would be, of course, the 3D print, which I think I'll talk about in a minute. I was very inspired right as we sort of came out of the real clutch of COVID, but there were still so many restrictions when we were allowed to start building. The Windsor-Essex Home Builders Association came together and blitz framed 4 of our houses. So all the builders really just landed on a site where we were building 4 houses on St. Luke. And over 3 days, we framed out 4 homes. And coming out of COVID, you needed inspiration like that, and just incredible partners to have worked with, and really built homes and built some inspirational opportunities after a hard time for our community and country.
What's the need like right now in Windsor-Essex? How many applications do you get each year for people wanting one of these houses?
So many. I mean, it in reality, hundreds. And then we filter it down to fit the criteria. If we had a limitless number of homes available, then obviously we would be able to, change our criteria slightly. So we focus on families with children in their home who've been part of our community for 4 years, and that's what we're focusing on. And we bring them through the process together. As we change the way we build, we'll change our demographics. As we expand the number of builds that we do, we can obviously look at different criteria. But we filter through and go through a very long process with each of our families. And so, yeah, it's hundreds of applications for certain, more than we could build with, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we've heard so much about inflations in the past few years. I'm wondering how much pressure that's putting on Habitat.
Okay, so yes, it's an incredible amount of pressure. The cost of building materials, again, if we talk COVID, has just skyrocketed, and we are certainly as susceptible to that inflation as anyone else. So having to fundraise to cover those costs, but at the same time with a real compelling urge to grow the number of homes that we build. We're getting creative, we're doing what we can, and of course our community rallies and they are helping us do what we do. But it is a lot of pressure. We'd like to build more, we'd like to build faster, but the costs are very prohibitive. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but we're doing our best to meet it.
I think that's going to bring us into our 3D printing conversation because it was your organization that built the first 3D printed home for residential use in this country. How did that idea come about?
Well, again, if you think Habitat Windsor-Essex, you're going to be thinking partnership and collaboration because it's really honestly our strength. And so it was a group mind sort of thing. So we worked collaboratively with the town of Leamington, who's been very supportive of us, obviously, through the years. The Bridge Youth Resource Center. We also had Nidus 3D in on that project. And so I'm missing partners, but nonetheless came together with the proposal, the idea that we should be testing the 3D option for building and to do the real deep research because, there wasn't even building code that permitted that. So it was coming together and kind of putting all pride aside and say, hey, how are we going to do it? Will this work? Once we realized, yes, it was going to work, and starting working together, getting it done. And then in the end, having, three homes, really 3 units ready out of that project was incredible. It was a great experience, a lot of hard work, but something that certainly is going to stand the test of time. It's very durable unit once completed. And so, yeah, it was just a real group project. And we thought, hey, we'll do it. We'll try it. We were one of only 2 affiliates across Canada that were looked at for that project. So it was very cool.
And when you compare 3D build to a more traditional build, what's the cost comparison?
Yeah, it is more affordable to do a 3D print. If I've got it correctly, I think it's $5 a square foot. That's cheaper to do a 3D print. Having said that, what we know about it is it also doesn't work for every single piece of land. You have to have a pretty large area that you can work on. The machines are large. So it is more affordable. It's not necessarily quicker. It's not appropriate for every build that you want to do. But again, the technology on 3D printing is changing rapidly as well. So you really don't know where it'll be. It's also not the only affordable option for changing the way that you build or how you build or what you build with. So for us, it's constantly keeping our eye on, don't get locked into the idea that 3D would be our only idea moving forward. Certainly traditional builds are the best option for some lots, and there are other methods of building that you should also be considering, always with the eye of what's most affordable, what's most durable.
What are some of those ways? How have you had to evolve over the years to keep the building costs affordable?
Okay, so without even changing the basic traditional structure of a build, leaning into our partnerships has been one of the single most important thing we've done to keep our costs down. So where we used to lead every element of our own build project, we recently, so in 2024, we turned over the reins on the build site to BK Cornerstone, which is a partner that we really firmed up our partnership with during that Blitz build back post-COVID. And they are our builder on that site. And why they are more affordable is just economy of scale. They build a lot of homes and they have access to more materials than we could ever hope to get a discount on. So they turn that discount over to us, and then they're very philanthropic and donated back. So cost per home, much less expensive for us because of that partnership. So looking at things like that, it's not always changing the way you build, but who you build with or how you're building or different methods of approaching each housing project.
And really quickly, because we do have to wrap up, how many homes can we expect you to build this year?
We'll do 5 in total, all in Sandwich Town. Already 2 are completed. We're about to break ground on 2 more on Peters Street, and our 5th is on Brock.
All right. Thanks so much, Hope.
You're more
Appreciate
than
you coming in
welcome.
this morning.